If I was to stay in Dallas, if I was to stay in America, I would have been dead.
Hi, welcome to the Black Experience Japan's Melanated Files. The purpose of this series is to highlight the black people living in Japan. Who are they?
My name is Tyler Crane. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I moved to Japan because it was always my dream ever since I was a little kid. My father, he used to rent out these old Japanese samurai video cassettes, and we used to watch them all the time. And he was very interested in these the Yakuza, old 60s Yakuza films. So I used to watch that as a kid, so I was very interested in the culture. I've been in Japan for 3 years, and I am a business consultant for an IT solutions firm, and I also have my own media company on the side.
Okay, so talk about your media company a little bit.
So I started about a year ago, and I started off doing just music videos for friends, passion projects, and then it slowly started to, build up some smoke, and now I've been doing promo videos for companies, companies like BMW and Lamborghini, just to say a few. A lot of universities as well out here. So basically, we have an IT solutions firm, and we will, meet up with a lot of the IT companies here. Not just IT companies, but even health insurance companies. We even have watch companies as well. If they are relocating, we will do all of their system manufacturing, all of their wiring and things like that for them. And my job is to get them to partner with us. When I first came to Tokyo, so I moved to Kyushu first about 3 years ago, and I moved to Tokyo about 2 years ago. And the first thing that happened to me was when I was walking in Shibuya Crossing, and people thought I was a celebrity. Everyone was trying to take pictures with me, and I'm just like, okay. And I asked them, who do you think I am? I heard 5 different responses. I heard Will Smith, I heard Tyrese, I heard Terrell Owens, I've heard Tyson Beckford, I've heard it all. And it was all in one day. And if you have one person trying to take a picture of you, a bunch of other people will try to take pictures of you because they think that you're a celebrity. So that was pretty funny.
What has your experience been as a black man in Japan?
It's been different. It depends on where I live. In Tokyo, I haven't really had any kind of problems. I think people are pretty used to seeing foreigners here in Japan. Even though I am pretty big, it's like 6'4", 240. People are not really afraid. I think they're more curious to know who I am and what I'm doing here and what I'm about, as compared to when I lived in Kyushu and Fukuoka. That was a very dramatic experience for me. People were extremely afraid of me, especially since I was the only foreigner in my ward, not the only black person, the only foreigner. So there was not many. No, there was no one else. So people were afraid to sit by me on the train. People were startled. When I'm walking down the street, they would move to the other side. They would just literally, some people would just turn around and walk away. So it's been a very different kind of experience. It depends on where you live. The dating scene in Japan. So I did come here, with no expectations, and I came to a very, very countryside area, not a major city. There was nothing. It took 20 minutes just to walk to the station. It took 10 minutes just to walk to the nearest convenience or grocery store. So, it was kind of funny. The dating scene for me was pretty easy. As compared to living in a big city, it was actually pretty easy, because I'm such a rarity that I became a commodity. So people were very interested into learning about who I am, learning about my culture and things like that. So I really had no troubles when it comes to the dating scene here in Japan. Well, it was very different because of communication. One, I lived in the countryside, so no one spoke English. And two, I came to Japan on a whim, so I didn't know Japanese either. So it was a lot of silence. A whole lot of silence, and it wasn't too much communication. It was, I didn't have to really try to be a Casanova or try to woo a girl. into dating me or whatever, I just literally walk into a bar and people will just come in like, oh, hey, like, you're different. Who are you? What's your name? Where are you from? It was, yeah, very different. Usually I'm the one, in America, I'm the one initiating, but here, the girls will be the one to initiate. I met my wife, it's a funny story, I actually met my wife pretty close to here. I met my wife at Harjiku Station. We were getting on the same train. She was looking at me, I was looking at her. She smiled, I smiled back. And then, you know, I was checking my phone and she came over to me and she's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, hey, I'm good. And then we got on the train together and we started talking and I was like, yeah, you're cool. Can I get your line? And the next thing you know, a year and a half later, we're married and we have our first kid. Any advice? Learn Japanese. The reason why I say learn Japanese is because the women here who date black men and speak English is very small. So what that means is if you find a girl who speaks English and dates black men, chances are she's talking to another black man that you know. So a lot of guys here are swimming in the same pools. That's not good. So to open up your range of women to talk to, it's very good to learn Japanese. Yeah.
So your wife speaks English as well?
Yeah, she speaks perfect English. Okay. But she's a little different. Like, she just moved back to Japan from New York the day that I met her. So I got very lucky. Favorite Japanese food will have to be Osaka okonomiyaki. It's pretty good. I'm not too much of a fan of the Hiroshima okonomiyaki with the cabbage. I like the pancake one. It's pretty good. You know, coming from Dallas, Texas, coming from America, period, is a little crazy right now. People killing people every day. It's gotten to the point that people are so desensitized to the fact that people are dying so often. The thing that I like about Japan is that it's safe. I don't have to worry about getting shot. I don't have to worry about, you know, someone robbing me when I'm walking to the convenience at midnight. You know, those things I just don't have to worry about. So for me, safety is the biggest deal. I feel like everyone kind of minds their own business here. You don't hear people saying world star. You don't see, when people are fighting, you don't see people grabbing their phones out, like trying to record. You just don't see any of that. People really just mind their own business, do their own thing. That's pretty okay with me. And the one, once again, is safe. You don't have to worry about much here. People, like I said, mind their own business. They're not here to bother you. So that's one big difference to me.
Like, what do you like the least?
Definitely how Japanese people are not individuals per se. There's very minimal individualism here in Japan. Everyone kind of just goes just straight and narrow. No one really veers off. So there's an old Japanese saying, the nail that sticks out gets hammered in. So basically what that means, if you are different, if you do something different than the majority of the people, then you will be put back into place. And I don't really like that kind of mindset, especially being a creative. I feel like you have to think differently, you have to be individual, you have to think outside of the box, and people are really afraid to do those kinds of things here. So yeah, I don't really like that too much. Yeah, come with an open mind. Come with an open mind, come with an open heart. Don't expect anything, and you'll be okay. If you don't expect anything, if you're just open to every situation that comes to you, then you'll be just fine. Yeah, it's a good country. When I came to Japan, you know, met a lot of brothers here in Japan. I think the worst life advice that I could have ever received from them was just, oh, Japanese girls are easy, just have sex with as many Japanese girls as you want, it's paradise for black men. I'm just like, okay, That is very stupid mindset. And now that I've been here for a few years, you know, those same guys, you can see that how unhappy they are with their lives. You know, they're married, they have kids, and on one end, they can't communicate with their kids because they never learned Japanese, even though they've been here for 20 years. And on the other hand, they don't have a good relationship with their wives, and they just think that, you know, they're just there to just have sex with a bunch of Japanese women. I think that is absolutely horrible. My father used to always say, defeat is not an option. That was like his punchline. Defeat is not an option. Defeat is not an option. He's instilled that into me at a very young age. He used to say that when I was 4 years old. He still says that to me today, even when I'm 30. And, you know, it's been instilled in my brain so much I even have it tattooed on me. So I look at it every day and I realize, you know, defeat is not an option. So anything I do, I go into it 100%, and I don't call it defeat. You know, I'm having a really tough time with all the violence that's going on. I would say if the world was listening, let's try our best to stop the violence, because I feel like we are destroying our earth that was given to us from God. You know, all the hatred that we have for, you know, different demographics, all the bigotry that we have is just insane, and there's no need for it. And that's one thing I learned, you know, while living in Japan. Especially, you know, I've been to those birds. I've been to a lot of countries, you know, and I've experienced, you know, different cultures and different societies. You know, coming from America, I used to think that everyone was like that. You know, I was used to being categorized. I was used to being racially profiled. You know, I was used to that hate, I was used to that bigotry. But then when you go to other countries and you see that it's not like that, you know, you kind of open your mind a little bit. And you see that there is hope. There is a way to change your perspective. There is a way to change your thought process and this meaning of life. And there's no need for all this hate and all this bigotry that we have in this world. If we continue down this path, we're destroying our world way faster than it's supposed to be destroyed. So this needs to stop. So my journey is a little bit different than other people. A lot of people came to Japan with a job, or, you know, had a place to stay, or knew a little bit of Japanese, or is going to university out here, things like that. My journey was very different, and when I tell people about my journey, they think that I'm crazy. So back in America, I was going through a really tough time, fighting depression, fighting addiction, things like that. And, you know, I always wanted to move to Japan, but I just didn't know when. And, you know, I went to therapy, and I was talking to my therapist. You know, I was like, you know, what can I do to get out of this funk? And she was like, so what is something that you always wanted to do? And I was like, I always wanted to live in Japan. And she's like, then just do it. And so, you know, I was looking online that night. I was like looking at different companies, you know, how to get to Japan. I heard of Gaijinpai, so I started searching Gaijinpai and all these other places. And I just didn't have time to just wait around for a company to hire me and get me settled. So what I did was I bought a map of Japan. I literally closed my eyes and I was like, I'm going here. And that's how I found Kitakyushu. It was in Fukuoka. And so then 2 weeks later, you know, I sold my house, sold my car, quit my job. I packed everything I could in 2 suitcases. I had about $5,000 in savings, and then I just moved to Japan. And moved to Kitakyushu. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't know any Japanese. I didn't know anyone here, really. I just literally just made it happen. So the first 2 days, I stayed on the beach. I slept on the beach. I slept in a park. I stayed at an internet cafe for like almost 2 months. So while I was out there, I literally printed out 100 resumes, and I started passing them out to every dispatch company, every eikaiwa that I could. And literally the week before my due date was up, because you only get 3 months as a tourist, I got a job from Nova. And I was able to get my visa, and that's how I came to Japan. You know, I think this is definitely my testimony, because, you know, coming to Japan saved my life. Because I should have been long gone. long gone. And I think God gave me a second chance, for sure. And living here was the best decision I could have ever made. And even my father said that. You know, my father's a pastor, and he believes wholeheartedly that living here is the best decision that you've ever made in your life. And you know, like, I've graduated from college, I got my master's, I played professional football and all those other things. But the one time that my father has ever said he was proud of me was when I made it in Japan and I became successful in Japan. That was the only time my father's ever told me he was proud of me. So it's a pretty big deal for me. My parents had no idea that I was homeless in here. They didn't know that I didn't have a job. They thought I had everything set up. And you know, 6 months later, you know, when I had a job and I had a place to live and I was making it here, that's when I told them, like, hey, like, this is what really happened. And they were really shocked. They were like, what? How did you do that? And, you know, it's like I had to have some way to change my environment. I had to have some way to change the life I was living, because if I was to stay in Dallas, if I was to stay in America, I would have been dead. You know, because I overdosed like 2 or 3 times, and it was just getting to the point where I was just tired, you know? I was tired of living that life. I was tired of not knowing if I was gonna wake up every day, even though now, you know, no day is promised to us. Tomorrow is not promised to us. We can die any time. But I was killing myself. And so that's something that I needed to change. If it happens naturally, then that's fine with me. But I can change that reality. I can change that. So that's why this is a very big deal to me. It doesn't matter how far you've fallen, doesn't matter how deep in the hole you think you are, you can always change your reality. If you have the mindset, if you have the will, you can get it done, you know? And I know it's difficult, I know it's tough, I know you might be scared, but if you really want it with all your heart and you believe in your heart that you can do it, you can make it happen. You know, in the Bible it says, if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart, that anything is possible according to God. So, yeah, you can do it at all. So my Instagram is tysetsuna, it's TYSETSUNA, and you can also find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/tysetsuna as well, the same username.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see weekly videos about the Black experience in Japan, feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you know someone that would like to be featured, or if you yourself would like to be featured, send us a message on our Facebook page at The Black Experience Japan, or send us a tweet on Twitter at TheBlackXJP. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.